You might think horses, these massive half-ton animals, should be fearless. But the truth? Some of the things that terrify them are so bizarre you'll be laughing or nodding because you've seen it yourself. From plastic bags to puddles that apparently hide bottomless pits, these are the weirdest things horses are scared of. Fear number 1, plastic bags. Few things send a horse into full panic mode like a simple plastic bag. To us, it's just trash. To a horse, it's a predator in disguise. The way a bag crinkles, twists in the wind, or darts across the ground makes it completely unpredictable. Horses rely on spotting movement in their environment to stay alive. So when something moves erratically, their instinct says, run first, figure it out later. That's why you'll see horses calmly grazing near heavy machinery one moment, then leaping sideways the instant a grocery bag floats by. Trainers actually use plastic bags in desensitization because they combine sound, sight, and motion into one scary package. The training helps, but for some horses, it's always their worst nightmare. To them, that bag might just be alive. And if you think plastic bags are bad, wait until you hear the next one, because it's something we use every single day. Fear number 2, umbrellas. Umbrellas are everyday objects for us, but for a horse, they're straight out of a horror movie. Think about it. You're standing quietly, then suddenly, a giant object explodes open with a snap. Horses see this dramatic expansion as a predator appearing out of thin air. Even a closed umbrella being waved around can cause them to shy away nervously. The movement, sound, and shifting shape make no sense to their survival-driven brains. Mounted police units even train horses around umbrellas to prepare them for parades and crowded events, but it takes patience. The funniest part? After spooking, many horses creep forward to sniff the umbrella, realize it's harmless, and then act like nothing happened. But the next time it pops open, instant fear all over again. But umbrellas aren't the only normal human thing that sends horses into panic mode. Fear number 3, water puddles. A small puddle might look like nothing, but to a horse, it's suspicious. Their eyes don't process depth the same way ours do, so a shiny patch on the ground might as well be a black hole. They don't know if it's an inch deep or a bottomless pit. Add reflections from the sky or trees, and it becomes even more confusing. That's why so many riders struggle when asking a horse to cross puddles or streams. The horse doesn't see water, it sees danger. Sometimes they'll paw at the puddle, testing it before stepping in. Other times, they flat out refuse, no matter how much coaxing you do. What's interesting is that wild horses don't show the same hesitation. They learn quickly that puddles are safe sources of water. Domesticated horses, though, without that constant exposure, often react as if they're stepping into the unknown. And while puddles look like traps, something even stranger freaks them out. Fear number 4, balloons. Colorful, round, and floating in the air. Balloons look fun to us, but to a horse, they're nightmare fuel. The way balloons bob and weave unpredictably makes them hard for a horse's survival instincts to process. Then there's the ultimate betrayal: balloons pop. That sudden explosion sound is enough to send even a calm horse into full flight mode. Horses can sometimes get used to balloons if exposed slowly, but even then, most never fully trust them. Riders at shows sometimes dread decorations with balloons because their horses might refuse to go near the arena. What's funny is that some horses eventually sniff a balloon, push it with their nose, and act almost curious, until the next gust of wind moves it, and panic sets in again. A simple birthday party decoration becomes, in their eyes, a dangerous creature that could strike at any moment. Balloons make sense, but this next one is so strange, you wouldn't even think about it until you see it happen. Fear number 5, wheelbarrows and trash cans. Wheelbarrows and trash cans. Every barn has them, yet many horses act like wheelbarrows and trash cans are monsters. The thing is, horses are creatures of routine. If an object is always in the same place, they ignore it. But move it just a few feet or tip it over so it looks different, and suddenly it's suspicious. A wheelbarrow rolling or rattling can startle them instantly. Trash cans are even worse. They're dark, upright, and full of strange smells. To a horse, that's basically a predator's hiding spot. Some horses refuse to walk past them, snorting and sidestepping as if the trash can is about to attack. The fear might sound silly, but it comes from survival instinct. Anything that looks out of place or makes unfamiliar noise could be a threat. And since horses don't take chances, they spook first and think later. But sometimes, it's not the objects themselves, it's the way they move. Fear number 6, bicycles. It might surprise you, but bicycles often scare horses more than cars. Why? Because cars are loud and obvious, but bikes sneak up quietly, fast, and at ground level, just like a predator would. Horses don't understand the sight of two wheels spinning with a person balanced on top. To them, it looks unnatural, almost predatory. This is especially true on trails, where bikes come around corners quickly and startle horses who weren't expecting them. Many cyclists don't realize why horses react so strongly, but from the horse's perspective, it's basically a lion on wheels. With careful training, some horses learn to tolerate bikes, but even then, a sudden approach from behind can cause panic. Riders know the struggle, trying to calm a horse that's convinced a harmless bike is something hunting them. But at least bikes are real objects. Some horse fears are almost invisible to us. Fear number 7, shadows. Shadows are one of the strangest fears, but they make sense when you think like a horse. Horses notice movement before anything else, so when a shadow flickers across the ground, their brain instantly asks, "Predator?" A simple leaf blowing by creates moving shadows that set off alarms. Sometimes they even spook at their own shadow, especially if it suddenly appears in front of them. Riders often laugh when a brave, confident horse suddenly slams on the brakes because of a dark patch on the trail. The truth is, their eyes just don't process shadows the way ours do. To them, that dark area could be a hole, a snake, or who knows what else. Even though shadows are harmless, a horse's instincts don't allow them to take the risk. Speaking of things you can barely see, this next fear is equally baffling. Fear number 8, reflections in puddles. Not just puddles, reflections inside them. Horses get confused when they see the sky, trees, or their own legs mirrored in the water. It doesn't make sense to their brains, so they see it as unnatural and potentially dangerous. This explains why many horses paw at water before stepping in. They're trying to figure out what's real and what's not. Riders often find this frustrating, especially on trails with lots of streams or puddles. What's interesting is that some horses never get over it, no matter how many times they encounter reflections. The mix of shiny light, moving water, and distorted images just doesn't register as safe. It's like walking toward a glitch in reality, and their survival instinct says to avoid it at all costs. And reflections aren't the only visual trick that gets to them. Fear number 9, strange flooring or mats. Change the ground beneath a horse, and you change their entire behavior. Horses are very sensitive to footing because their survival depends on staying upright and moving quickly. Put down a rubber mat, a wooden bridge, or even a patch of painted concrete, and your horse might slam on the brakes. The sound of their hooves changes, the texture feels strange, and the surface looks different, all red flags for a prey animal. Trail riders know this all too well when crossing wooden bridges. Some horses creep forward, sniffing each step, while others refuse entirely. This isn't stubbornness, it's survival. In the wild, stepping on unstable ground could mean injury or death. So even if the mat is perfectly safe, the horse's instinct says, better safe than sorry. And sometimes, it's not even the ground or objects. It's things that float. Fear number 10, flags and tarps. Flags combine everything horses hate: sudden movement, loud noise, and unpredictability. A flag flapping in the wind looks alive to them, and since it never moves the same way twice, it feels like a constant threat. Tarps are even worse. They crinkle, they flap, and they cover the ground, making it look unsafe to step on. That's why desensitization clinics often use tarps. Walking a horse over one can be a huge challenge, but the payoff is worth it because once a horse learns that tarps won't hurt them, their confidence improves. Still, some horses never quite get used to it. A gust of wind, a loud flap, and suddenly they're jumping sideways like they've just seen a predator. But if you think flags are strange, just wait until you hear this next one. Fear number 11, tiny animals. Here's one that always makes horse owners laugh. Tiny animals. Horses, which can weigh over 1,000 pounds, often lose their minds over chickens, ducks, rabbits, or cats. The fast, unpredictable movements of small animals trigger their predator alarm. Even though these creatures are harmless, the horse's brain doesn't stop to analyze size. It just reacts. A chicken flapping its wings can send a horse spinning. What's ironic is that many horses are fine with big dogs, even ones that bark loudly. But a kitten darting across the ground? Terrifying. This fear shows how much movement matters in a horse's world. Size doesn't matter. Speed and unpredictability do. And last but not least, one of the weirdest fears of all, fear number 12, mailboxes. Last but not least, the humble mailbox. Riders joke that horses think mailboxes are predators waiting to attack. The truth is, mailboxes are oddly shaped, often metallic, and sometimes rattle in the wind. They appear suddenly on trails or roadsides, and to a horse, that's suspicious. A dark, upright object just off the path could easily be hiding danger. So horses react the only way they know how, with caution or outright fear. Some will snort, sidestep, or refuse to pass, even if they've walked by the same mailbox 100 times before. It's a perfect example of how prey animals never fully relax, always staying alert to anything unusual in their environment. At the end of the day, horses aren't being dramatic. Their brains are just wired for survival. What looks silly to us makes perfect sense to them. If something is new, moves unpredictably, or doesn't belong, their instinct says, run first, think later. These strange fears remind us how deeply prey instincts still control horses, even after thousands of years of domestication. So the next time your horse jumps at a plastic bag or a mailbox, just remember, in their mind, they're saving both of you from certain doom. If you enjoyed learning about the weird things that spook horses, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and check out the next video on screen.